Alright, so in this one we're going to go over the bench press. A couple of checkpoints and cues that we want to really ensure that we absolutely nail, so that we're, one, pressing heavy load safely, and two, we're creating a lot of stability and actually full body tension, so it allows us to actually move maximal load through this movement pattern, right? I think all too often people just think, right, I'm just going to lie flat on the bench and just press weight, and then over time I'll get stronger. Yeah, there's some merit to that, but if we want to really maximize your upper body strength on a bench press, then there's a couple of checkpoints that we want to absolutely nail. And in this video we'll go over them. So utilizing leg drive, creating scapular tension and creating stability within your bench, and then elbow path to allow the shoulder joint to press weight, or press heavy weight safely, right? So a couple of things here. See, when we're trying to create leg drive with your bench press, I've been guilty of this in the past. We utilize leg drive and we try and press up. You'll see a lot of people kind of pressing, utilizing leg drive, and their hips driving off the bench. We want to we absolutely want to press to competition standard, regardless if you're a power lifter or not. You still want to have a legitimate, bench press, and a legitimate bench press is obviously full range and keeping your hips pinned down to the bench, right? So instead of thinking about driving your feet through the floor, we want to almost think about it like it's a leg extension, right? So we want to be thinking through that press that we're doing this with our legs. So when we press, we're almost doing this with our legs, right? And the thing that's going to stop us from actually sliding up off the bench is your upper traps. Your upper traps are going to be dug right into that bench, so that's almost going to create like a spring-like kind of feeling. That's what we want to think about when we're creating full body tension. Imagine you just get a spring and you coil up. That's what we want to almost create within your bench press. That's how we create tension. All right. Another thing is scapular position. Now, all too often when we say like create an arch, people think, right, that's cheating, because we're going to create an arch and we're going to shorten the range of movement that bar travels through space. Yes, it is, but it's not. The whole purpose of creating an arch, scapular position, scapula back and down into your back pockets, isn't to just shorten the range of movement, right? It's also to allow your elbow path to almost press at like a 45-degree angle. We do not want your elbows to be pressing out here. You're putting then the shoulder joint in a very vulnerable position to press heavy weight from, and that's how we get shoulder injuries and things. So we want to create scapular tension and put your scapula in a really safe structured position to allow that shoulder to press in the most ideal position. And creating that arch is then allowing your elbows to just fall naturally into a 45 degree. So we don't need to think about really tucking your elbows. Well, too often people get taught that cue, and I've done it in the past as well, of, just think about tucking your elbows. We've got a fixed bar there, that's not going to move. We don't have the freedom of movement like a dumbbell. It's a fixed bar, so you can't really think. If you don't have your scapula set and your elbows are going to be pressing quite wide, again, you can't then just think about pressing in. Set your scapula in a really, really solid position. And then just to go over bracing again, we want to make sure that we're holding that brace throughout the entire set. I'll never program high volume sets on a bench press. The most I think that I'll ever program is there's potentially 8, maybe 10 if we're doing a big volume block, maybe 10. But the reason that I do less volume with a bench press is because we want to try and hold your breath through the entire set. Easier said than done, of course, but we want to hold that brace as much as we possibly can. And again, go back into the other video, the low bar squat video, in terms of teaching you how to brace. We want to, again, breathe into our stomach. So we're not breathing in our mouth up to our chest, we're breathing into our stomach, and we essentially want to hold that. So knowing when to brace and when to hold your breath is going to be key. I actually like to somewhat hold my, get half a brace, if you will, as I unrack it, and then before I begin that descent or the eccentric portion of the bench press, that's when I really brace, and I'll do my best to hold my breath for the entire set. Of course, if you're panicking, then you can also let out little bits of air, but try and not lose that brace. All right, we don't want to be going and then go, because then you've completely lost your brace then. All right, so little cues like that. Grip position, finally. I've always played around with different grips, okay? How wide, how narrow, and things like that. What I've found best for myself and for clients over the last 8 years of coaching is whatever is comfortable for you. I've had great success with clients pressing quite wide. So like, if we look at the rings on here, I've had clients press quite wide where their index finger or their middle finger is actually on the outer rings. But then someone like me who presses quite narrow, I'm thumb length outside. Well, yeah, outside where the narrow one is. So my pinky isn't even reaching these inner rings here. So I would always play around with your grip, as long as it's not like inside shoulder width and you're pressing like this. Then I think we're good. What I've always found is when we're gripping, it's wherever you can really maintain good scapular position. That's what I would kind of look for. So if you can do that with quite a wide bench press, then great. If you can't, then play around with it, come in a little bit, and then see what feels comfortable. Another note is, obviously, if we are competitive powerlifters, there is merit to press a little bit wider and create a bigger arch, because of the limited range of movement that bar is actually going to travel. So it is, in theory, then going to benefit you. But again, if it's really uncomfortable and your scapular position is not really set or in a good strong position, or if you feel unstable, then it's not going to benefit you at all. It doesn't matter how short that bar travels, you're just not going to be maximally loading that bench press in an uncomfortable, unstable structural position. All right, I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to actually demonstrate getting into your bench press. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to set, so I always slide off, right? I always slide off, so my upper back now is off that bench. I'll get my grip position, so this is where I'm going to grip. Then I will get my feet position, okay? So I'll grab my feet position. I'm then trying to mimic that leg extension movement. So I'm already digging my feet into the ground and trying to push that away, all right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my body off the bench, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to pin my scapula back and down into my back pockets, creating a nice arch and a safe position for my elbows to press in. All right. Grip, feet up, and I'm digging. Now I'm digging my upper traps into the floor, and now I'm pressing my feet away. So I've got that full body kind of spring-like tension. Then I'm going to lift my hips up off the bench as I unrack. It's just going to allow for a safer unrack. Bar in position, hips down. And that's my setup. That's how I like us to kind of just try and drill in that technique and that routine there. All right. One final point on this one is eye line. My eye line is on just past this side of the bar. All right. The reason being is when we're unracking the bar off the rack, we don't want to be unracking it too far away from this. It's going to waste energy. Potentially going to then undo your scapular position. So we want to just unrack it, and as we're pressing, we want to just be missing this. All right. So eye line just on the outside of this bar. But other than that, that is the bench.